Hey folks, in today's video I'll be reviewing the Field Notes brand Game Master journals. So Field Notes reached out to us and asked if we wanted to review their Game Master journals. They're tucked away up there, but we did a review of the player journals. You can go check that out. I think it's up in this corner. So they sent it to us. They come packaged with this nice little band around them. Let's take that off. And you get 2 notebooks in each pack. And the packs are like $16.95, so pretty darn good price. It's 64 pages. Paper quality is pretty good. Works well with pen. If you're using like a very saturated ink pen or like Sharpie, it's going to bleed through, but most of the pens that I use are ballpoint pens, aren't going to bleed through, and pencil writes just fine and erases well on this. So to start off, this is a great journal to keep track of the overall notes. It's not going to give you a whole lot of space to write in like really in-depth session notes or anything like that, but I think it's a really great reference for a game master. So whether you're running a homebrew and you want to keep something that you can just really quickly grab and reference, this is fairly small, so you can keep individual session notes on you, especially if you're traveling for your games, and then always have this on you for the overall reference. I think it also works well for modules because you can use it to jot down your notes as you're initially going through the module, and then keep track of things as you're going through and running it, and what your players decide to do, how their interactions with NPCs play out. You can keep track of it in here. So let's dive on in. So on the inside page, there's a place to keep track of your information, contact info, all that stuff if it gets lost. I also like that there's an index as well as some random tables. It's always great to have a few random tables to roll on from time to time. And then the first page is a really great, gives you the campaign name, a synopsis and description. This is nice to, maybe write down the synopsis that you give to your players, or just a nice overview for you to keep in mind. And then it gives you a place to write down all of your players' name and their contact info. That's something that I might not have thought of to put in here, but it's really great, having a place to write down their phone numbers and email, so, you can email your players, or you can change it to DM names or whatever it is, if you're using Discord or something like that. And having the phone number is great because then if somebody's running late, you can call them and find out where they are, or if something last minute changes, you have everybody's contact info, so you're not trying to scroll through your phone. It's all right there. Or, if your phone deletes your contacts, you're not shit out of luck. The next couple of pages are for inspirations. Great place to write down kind of maybe some references for you to draw on, or also to let your players know, this is the kind of world we're going to be playing in. I like that there's a page to keep track of house rules. So not only is it house rules that maybe you have, but as you're going through, you can add in, we decided we don't really like how flanking officially works, we're going to use this ruling, or, whatever it is, you can keep track of it in here. Then it goes on to have some world overview and principles, core assumptions, genres, multiverse, major pantheon, minor pantheon. Again, just quick reference for deities, symbol, domains, alignment. Not going to go into real detail, but that's nice to have a reference, so if somebody says, hey, who's the god of the sea? You can flip open this and let them know, and then if they want more information, pull out the book. I will say this is not a replacement to having the Game Master book, the monster manuals, any of the other books, but it's a great reference to have as a supplement to those books. There's a place to write down the calendar, area for maps. I think this is a great, not for encounter maps, but for world or city maps. You've got a couple pages for that. There's a spot to write down major and minor kingdoms. And I like that it gives you some guidance here on what to write down. That's something that's great. If you just want to go completely from your imagination and make whatever you want, a normal notebook is going to just do fine. But this helps give you a little bit of guidance on what to write down and might spark something of like, oh, I wouldn't have thought to write down what form of government this kingdom is. But that's something that very likely is going to have an effect, if it's a monarchy versus a democracy, that might make a difference. There's settlements and locations. I love the key NPC and secondary NPC pages. This is not a replacement to the character sheet, especially if this is an NPC they're going to be battling or battling with. You'll want to have that character sheet, but this is a really great spot to write down those notes. And I love that it has mannerisms as well as personality, accent, and voice. So you can help, that will help you remember, wait, which NPC is this? What did they sound like? What did they act like? So you can be a little bit more consistent when they come back, especially reoccurring NPCs that your players aren't going to be going, wait a minute, didn't this guy have a Scottish accent before? You can jot that down and help spark your memory. I will say some of the spots in this are fairly small, so if you do have larger handwriting, you might be very limited on how much you can write down. I have fairly small handwriting, so this feels like it's going to be great for just reference for me, but just something to keep in mind. And then there are several pages for the player characters. Now, this is an area that you definitely might want to write in some of this stuff with pencil because their level is going to change, their hit points and AC are going to change as they're leveling up. A nice thing that I like is that there's a preferences of combat, roleplay, or exploration next to the player. That's great to know, something to either ask your players or you can check those boxes off as you notice what the players prefer. So as you're building the encounters, you can kind of keep that in mind to balance it out or say, hey, we've had a couple of really heavy encounter battle sessions. Why don't we do a roleplay session because I know player B over here, that's what they prefer and we haven't had one in a while. Then there's a spot for major and minor factions, very similar to like the location. It gives you a little bit of guidance. There's not a whole lot of space for just general notes, but it's a nice reference guide for if you are using factions. And this is another spread I really like. It's the key monster spread. So again, not a replacement for having the books. This is not enough space to write in any of the character sheet, really. But it's really helpful if you are running a session, running a campaign that I'm going to have giants. Giants are going to be reoccurring, or kobolds, or whatever it is, or we're playing in this region, and these are the monsters that kind of are common for the region. You can write all of those down. It gives you a spot to write down the page number, so you can go reference it when you are in the encounter and you need all of that stuff. But it gives you that nice reference guide to be like, okay, these are the things I know I need, as well as you can draw on it for like, okay, let's throw in a random encounter. I'll look at this, okay, I know it wants to be a certain CR level, and you can just pick and choose from this page to build that random encounter. The next spread is key magic items and artifacts. Next spread is really useful if you have players who are playing like an artificer or a wizard or any kind of crafter, because it's the Downtime activity tracker. It's one of those things of you hope that your players are keeping track of it, but as a game master, it's very helpful to also be keeping track of these things because your players might get a little off, or it might be a question of like, well, I know I've been doing it for 3 days, but I forgot how long I am going to have to be doing it for. So as a game master, you can keep track of this, and then when it comes up, you can help use that to remind your players, as well as, just track the progress on it. So if there's any kind of disagreement over how long things are going, you can just flip to this page and say, yep, see, you're like 2/3 of the way done. And then the last bit of the notebook is a Milestone XP Tracker, so you can keep track of when your players leveled up, and any brief notes about that. And then the adventures page. This is something that you could either use to kind of do a summary of each session, or maybe each little like arc, so 2 or 3 sessions story arc. Just enough space to write a brief reference. So if you like to keep really in-depth notes, this isn't going to be in the notebook for you, but if you want something that you can use as a much faster reference, yay! that's what these field notes are for. And then on the back page is just some more random generators, gives you a combat step-by-step, which I think is a nice reminder, alignment table, and ability scores and modifiers, just as a nice reference back there. So overall, I really like it. I think for the price, they are fantastic. Gives you a little bit of guidance versus just having a plain regular notebook as a game master to fill things in. Gives you a few ideas, might spark some ideas of like, oh, I didn't think, like as I was saying with the kingdom, what government it is. That's something I wouldn't have thought of to write down, but thinking about it, I'm like, that's super important. So yeah, I really like them. If you've picked up the Field Notes Game Master journals, I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comments below. Are you using it in a campaign right now? Yeah. A big thanks to our patrons, especially Arvi. If you want to support our channel, you can head over to our Patreon page and check out the perks of being a patron. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe because we make videos here every week about tabletop RPGs and our other geeky interests. Alright, I'll see you next time on Roll for Initiative. Bye! Hey folks, in today's video I'll be reviewing